Hey everybody, it's Kathy. Welcome to episode 38 of Mondays on the Mat. I'm coming to you live from my office slash yoga room, and I'm super excited for today's episode. I feel like the last few episodes of Mondays on the Mat, 35, 36, and 37, have turned into a little bit of like a vlog sort of ongoing saga, and today's episode is going to add on to that saga a little bit. And definitely, if you have questions or comments, or you want some clarification, please add them down here into the comment bar, and we'll see if we can't get a little bit more clarity, because today's topic is how to trust divine timing, and also what the heck does that even have to do with yoga? So, let's go about it this way. I am going to tell you a story that relates directly to last week's episode and build on that story from last week. So if it'll stand alone too, don't worry. If you haven't seen that episode, today's episode will completely stand alone with the story, but you could always go back and get more details after today's episode. So let's start with the word yoga. So the word yoga has a meaning, and then there's the definition of what yoga is. So those are kind of two different things, and I feel like it can create a little bit of confusion about what is yoga anyway. Is it what this word means? Is it what the definition means? Is it what the Bhagavad Gita says it is? Because that offers different definitions of yoga. So let's just start with the word yoga. It comes from a Sanskrit word yuj, Y-U-J, which means to yoke or to bind together. And really, in my understanding of the traditional sense of yoga, is that it's the binding of your body, mind, and soul to the divine or the universe or source energy or God, whatever you call that. It's really a binding and a joining together, a union of body, mind, and soul, or you often hear body, mind, and spirit, but I don't feel like there's a lot of conversation around how to create the union of spirit, first of all, within yourself, and then let alone with that which is greater than us in the whatever you want to call that. I often refer to it as the universe or the cosmic jellyfish, and we'll get to that in just a second. So then if we turn to the Yoga Sutras, it says that yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind stuff, or when your mind is no longer in a place where it's thinking, but it's still and focused and concentrated. And that experience is often described as being in the flow or in the zone. And so some people are going to say it's when they're connected to the divine or in that sweet spot and that bliss spot. That's really the true essence of who you are. It's like living from your soul, because you're no longer thinking, but you're fully, you're just like fully in a moment and living without an awareness of time, space, and other realities. And so I think that's how the Yoga Sutra of the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind and the word yoga, which is that creating union of body, mind, and soul, where spirit and divine go together, is because when you get into that spot where the mind has settled, then you're living in that union of your physical body, your breath, and your soul. And that's where a soul-centered life happens. And there's ways that you can get there. And one of them is trusting divine timing. And so I just wanted to show you a picture that I have shown in at least one other episode of the energetic layers of your body. To help, this kind of goes along with the union, right? So we've got the outer layer is your physical body, and then the next one is your energetic body, and I think of that as breath body. It's the movement of breath inside your body. Then you go in a little bit deeper, and I call this the mind body, the thinking mind, the mind that can go crazy, the mind that can sometimes be peaceful, the mind that sometimes has very rational, wise things to think, and sometimes it's thinking crazy town thoughts. Then you go in a little bit deeper, and this is going to be your subconscious mind. And the thing is, the subconscious mind is supposed to be pure and positive at all times, but it gets layered with a whole bunch of BS. And so sometimes that's prevented. And part of a yoga practice helps us to sort of clean out those layers of the mind so that then we get to the little green guy in there is the bliss body, your soul, your truth, your essence. And so what the word yoga is saying is that we create union, or we yoke all of these aspects to ourselves. And then that bliss body is a part of us that is the cosmic jellyfish, as I like to call it. So if you could imagine this glowing vast light of love and pure positive energy, and there are tentacles that stream down, and you are one of those tentacles, that's the bliss body. And so with yoga, we're trying to really get back into harmony with the fact that we're not a body with a soul, or even just a shellless body, but we're really a soul living inside this physical body. So that's the yoga part. And so trusting divine timing is trusting that you are connected to that source energy, and there is such a broader and more vast thing happening than you can even understand in your day-to-day life. And in yoga, there is a concept called Ishvara Pranadhana. And this means surrender to that which is greater than us. I think of it as faith. And I think that trusting divine timing has a lot to do with faith. And the thing is, divine timing is happening all day, every day, all day, every day, all day, every day in your life. And the very first step to trusting divine timing is just recognizing that it is happening all the time, right? Like, how many times have you had some situation where you were like, oh my gosh, perfect timing? Well, that's divine timing. And it could be as simple as like, oh, I really need a parking space to open up, and then boom, a car pulls out and you've got a spot. Or, oh, I really have to go to the bathroom, and right as you get there, like another person walks out. That's divine timing. We're being protected and guided in our lives at all time. Or like, here's a really great example. Sometimes I need some piece of information in my life, and I'll keep seeing the same thing over and over and over in one of my social media feeds. And it's like, oh, that's divine timing, because this information is making its way to me exactly when I need it. So all of that is divine timing. And it's, again, like I said, it's just starting to recognize that it's happening in your life in these really small ways that seem or feel inconsequential, so that when larger instances of it, or things that we put more emotional weight on, show up in our lives, we can see the divine timing happening and appreciate that it's happening. Because for most of us, when things start to slow down in our lives, or they aren't happening at a pace we would like them to happen, or even it feels like we've moved backwards in life, it feels like, how could that be divine timing? And we can start to doubt or not trust that truth, that inner beingness, that the divine timing is always unfolding for us. Like a promotion in your career that didn't happen, that you were anticipating, or maybe a romantic relationship that you would really want hasn't shown up in your life yet. Or like healing, physical or mental, emotional healing maybe isn't progressing as fast as you would like, and it can get really difficult to trust in those moments that divine timing is happening. And this is a great example, like here on Abraham Hicks, which says you don't want to arrive at the meeting point of the love of your life before they do. Right? Because then you're going to wander off and you will have missed them. So divine timing is about you and the person, the job, the wellness, whatever it is, showing up together at the same time to then move forward into the next thing. So here comes today's story, which is like a total continuation from last week's episode. And it's such a beautiful example of divine timing. So last week, I was telling the story about releasing old energy. I'm getting a phone call, you guys. I'm going to ignore it so that I can see you. There we go. Sorry about that. So, anyway, last week I was telling a story about releasing some old subconscious limiting beliefs, and I told a story about how I could feel those vibrations leaving my body and the way they were leaving my body. And once where we left off, say that 3 times fast, where we left off last week was there was like this brown fog coming off of my body that had lightened up, but it was still a brown fog. Well, after that cleared out, it was like this fine white mist, like a fine white mist was leaving my body. And then last week on Thursday, so it was just a couple days ago, Thursday, it was like a sense that that mist had finished leaving my body and was like moving away. Does that make sense? So it was still like in my energy field, but no longer attached as it began to leave. And Thursday night, my husband and I went to see Sean Johnson and the Wild Lotus Band play a concert. And they are a really fun musical group. They do something called kirtan, which is a call and response type of singing of yogic chants and prayers and rockin' music, and it can sound a little bit hippy dippy, but there's just such a positive, wonderful vibe to this type of music. And I've seen this band several times, and I absolutely always adore them. What was interesting, there's 2 parts that were interesting actually. Part 1 is that Sean Johnson always starts his classes and concerts where you set an intention, real similar to the way I would start a yoga class. And what he was saying was have an awareness of something. I'm going to get emotional. It was such a big deal, you guys. He said, have an awareness of something that you're releasing in your life. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect timing. I'm at the end of releasing some major things in my life or some major vibrations. Wow. I'm setting an intention to fully release those things. And then the next thing he said was to welcome in or receive what you need to receive from the music and from the singing and the vibrations and the chanting. And so I really did. I set that intention. Could I receive and really solidify the new vibrations and the new way of being into my body? And throughout the show, there were different points during the show where I could feel just that white light, that pure, positive, cosmic jellyfish energy just pouring in through the crown of my head and in through the palms of my hands and just putting it deep into my body. And again, it was like perfect timing from all of the events that happened that led up to that moment. I was exactly where I needed to be at the exact perfect time to sort of finish that process in my body. And I could tell I needed the music, I needed the love, I needed the surrounding of that type of community to let that process finalize. And then the next morning I could feel like deep inside what last week I had talked about as like a glowing yellow light had become like pure white light, like the purest. I don't even know how the purest, like unspoiled. That's not the word. I'm gonna find the word in a second, but like there was, it's gonna come. But anyway, so this white light deep in the center of my being, and everything else was black, not in a sick black, because there's different ways that black can express itself. And this was more like the black of emptiness and a void of light, and almost like a blank slate, so that this new pure white light could begin to shine without any other vibrational interruptions in my body. And so that's what the blackness was. It wasn't negative. It was more like a positive opening to the mystery of how this new vibration will begin to unfold. So that was perfect divine timing. And we don't always know how these things are lining up, guys, because I try to see Sean Johnson and the Wild Lotus Band at least once a year when they come through California. And some years I miss them, and some years I see them twice or, whatever. And I had been watching their schedule unfold, and they weren't scheduled to play here in our area. And it was kind of like, oh, am I going to drive a couple of hours to see them somewhere else? Is that going to work for me this year? I don't know. And then, sort of last minute, a woman who lives in our area reached out to them and said, well, want to come play a concert for us? It's a small town. It's not the same as, they normally play to several hundred people, and there were maybe like 40 people at this show last week. And they said yes. So it's like all of these components happening in the background to create the perfect timing of me being at that show. It was them connecting and lining up the show. It was Lindsay sending me the book You Are a Badass, and me like being able to release that old energy, and then being on Facebook at the right time, because I'm not on Facebook a lot these days, and so being there at the right time to see the event be announced and being able to go because I don't teach class on Thursday, and blah blah blah, like all of these things come together. And so it's a recognizing that those forces are at play all the time, even when things start to slow down or stop or not progress in a way that your mind is thinking should happen. There's that trust, the Ishvara Pranadhana, and the belief and the faith that divine timing is happening and that things will unfold in perfect time. And what we're being asked to do is, like I said, recognize it in the small things. Every day, all day, keep recognizing the perfect timing as much as you can, so that you can trust when there are larger things that you put more emotional significance on, that divine timing is happening there too. And if you can be peaceful and present in your daily life with a sense of gratitude for the things that are present, and a sense of gratitude for the things that are coming in perfect time, it opens up the spaciousness for those things to come into your life. And really know and allow that it's happening. If I could give one more example, and just know, again, when I give examples from my own life, it's not because I'm the all about me show as much as it is that I honor and respect both my students that I teach yoga to and my clients that I do oracle card readings for, because I witness this happening in their lives, but it's not my place to share their stories, especially without permission, which is why I use examples from my own life. But know that this happens for everyone, and I see it in people's lives. So many of you know I'm working on a book, and I've gotten to a point where the manuscript is done for now. And I have a book proposal that is also done for now. And I feel like I'm sort of idling, like it's time to do something with them. But the messages that I keep getting are sit here and idle and wait, because like that example I gave about the two lovers meeting up at the same point on the path, I got to this point on my path a little bit sooner than the universe is wanting me to be. And there are people that I'm going to be lining up with soon. I get a sense it's somewhere in like the 3 to 6 or 8 weeks range. And so someone is going to come into my life in such a way that then forward momentum begins on the book again. And it's hard. I will tell you, it's really hard to sit here and not do anything with it for end up being probably like 10 or 12 weeks total that I haven't done anything about it. And it's making me itchy. And if I didn't trust in divine timing, things that I could do would be like, screw it, I'm going to self-publish it the way it is, or screw it, I'm going to put the manuscript out into agents' hands the way it is, even though I know there's some things that need to happen with it before that would be a wise decision. And then I could go forward and things could happen, but sitting in that place of faith and trust in divine timing, I know that more better things are going to come if I'm patient and I wait for the perfect timing, and that things will reveal themselves when it's the right time. And so what I'm inviting you to do is, in your life, if you're feeling that impatient, like, why isn't this fixed now? Why aren't I moving forward? Why did things regress? Is to get quiet and sit back and just have a moment of like, I trust in divine timing. I trust and believe that I am a part of the cosmic jellyfish, and that I am loved and protected and guided, and that things will move forward, especially if you can resist the temptation to compare where you are on your life and your soul path with where other people are in their life and their soul path. And know that the divine timing, like even you just sitting here and watching this video, is a perfect time in the perfect way. And so your task for today and the rest of this week is to not worry about the divine timing on the big stuff, and just start recognizing it in your day-to-day life. The way things pop up in your news feed, the way someone opens a door for you when your hands are full, the way you pull up to the gas station and there's a pump open for you, the way you get held up in traffic and that actually slowed you down to let you arrive at your destination at a perfect time. And recognize divine timing in the things that are unfolding quickly and with ease, and to recognize divine timing when it's holding you and slowing you down a little bit, along the grocery line, or like traffic and red lights, things like that, or the phone call or the text that you're waiting for and it's not happening quickly. So recognize it in small ways as a practice to help you recognize it in larger ways. So that, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in, is how to trust divine timing in your life. Oh, hey, Michaela, you needed this message. Oh my God, see, ladies and gentlemen, mostly ladies, I know, right there is the perfect example of divine timing, that this video popped up for her when she needed to hear it. So I'm so glad that you found that helpful, Michaela, and everyone else who is watching. And I encourage you to tune in next week. We're going to start to take a different direction with Mondays on the Mat. It'll still be along these lines, but hopefully the vlog portion will have ended. You know what? I shouldn't say that, because you never know with divine timing, right? What might come up over the course of this next week. But I do have some really great things planned for you for next Monday. And as a quick reminder, through the end of December this year, December 31st, 2017, you can get a free 1-card oracle card reading with me, or for $15 to $20 a 3-card integrate your past, understand the present, and receive guidance for the future oracle card reading. All you have to do is email me, Kathy with a C, at Kathy-Weiss, WEISS.com, and we'll get you set up with a card reading. I'm also teaching group yoga classes this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, 5:30 to 7, Friday, 9:30 to 11 a.m., and Saturday, 9 to 10:30. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, everyone. I hope you have a gorgeous, wonderful rest of your Monday, and I look forward to seeing you next week on Mondays on the Mat. Namaste.